Hello, this is Jamie White bringing you another weekly supplier diversity and small business economic impact report. As always, appreciate the support that we've been getting over the past couple of weeks now. I think this is week 23 or 24. So we're continuing that consistency, and again, we really appreciate all the support. As always, if you enjoy our weekly podcast, please like, subscribe, comment on the video, and share the video with your uh, or audio with your family, friends, or anyone else who you think should listen to this. Excuse me. So to start off, for this week, I want to talk about kind of the big news that's happening, or that has happened in the past couple of days, and that is I think the logo said GND, or Green New Deal. So if you're unfamiliar of this New Deal that I'm referring to, basically uh, the, I guess, hotshot senator, or not senator, I'm sorry, Representative Alexandria. Um, not familiar with her middle name, but AOC basically, uh, with the support of about 90, about give or take 90 representatives, and in the House, and about five or six ish, maybe a little bit more, senators, released a Green New Deal, which they envisioned to be similar to the New Deal that was presented by FDR during World War II, essentially using the next decade to restructure our way of life completely, um, into one using fossil fuels, basically to completely eliminate fossil fuels, and to create an economy that's reliant on clean energy. So they want to do this by 2030, which is an amazingly optimistic date, but one that, as you can see, generates enthusiasm. Um, so, let's just want to talk about this a little bit, but before we move on. Interesting concept. Obviously, clean energy, if you are unfamiliar, is actually one of the faster growing sectors in the economy. Not even for America, but globally. So things such as like solar energy, for example, is very fast paced in its growth. So makes sense in there. But there are certain things about the deal. Now I have not read all of it. I am familiar with some of the points. Uh, some of the things are a little bit, again, optimistic, uh, at best. One of the things is, for example, eliminating air travel, and relying more on clean energy high speed trains. That is, again, optimistic. So there's a lot of things in this new deal that, I mean, just in order to get the support for that is going to take years, and that's just being kind. Then once you get the support, figuring out a support for the concept, for a majority support for the concept in the House and the Senate, then you have to create a plan to actually undertake that, which is going to take another number of years, and then actually implementing it, which is going to take some more years, and then actually doing it, is again, 10 years is very very optimistic here, but regardless, I do think that this is a step in the right direction in terms of starting the conversation. I do think that this is a conversation we need to have sooner rather than later. So I'm not opposed to someone bringing out a piece of legislation and saying, "Hey, this is my idea. What do you think?" We can talk about it. I don't think that this is going to be. I think Obamacare, um, whether you support it or not, is up to you. But I think the Obamacare legislation kind of passing super fast, the way that it did, and then being implemented extremely fast, is kind of one of the precedents to this. Because now people think, okay, since that fast, we can also potentially pass this fast as well. And this is just on an entirely different scale. Obamacare was just for healthcare. Clean energy affects a lot of different other sectors. Um, uh, energy affects everything. I mean, healthcare affects a lot of things as well, but we're just talking about how they interact and how they affect people just way differently. And this, I mean, for planes, right? Energy also affects transportation. It affects a lot of things. So again, I'm step in the right direction in terms of having the conversation. At some point, we need it. We need it sooner than later. I'm okay with that. But obviously, I don't think that this is the deal that's going to be pushed and move forward. But again, this is good. You got a lot of people younger than myself who are obviously huge fans of this and are going to do all they can to support it. I wish them the best of luck in that. It's always great to be enthusiastic about something, but this is a really good opportunity for those who are in the clean energy sector, in particular when it comes to small business. Kind of because that's what we're here for, small and diverse businesses. Uh, with this gaining momentum, I mean, this is probably the best time to start a business in this sector or to be a business in this sector. So over the next decade, I do believe that more and more support is going to be pushed towards these type of companies. I don't know how much support right now, obviously, because legislation just came out basically yesterday. But I do think that now is a really good time. So if you can figure out an opportunity in these sectors, I do think that this would make a lot of sense. In particular, if in 2020 um, we do get a far left leaning president who ends up winning, I mean, then you really have a ton of opportunity that's going to be basically thrown at your feet. So opportunities abound for the next 10 years. So I would definitely look to get into this market if you are interested in doing so. Next up, Obama, Trump, and the economy. This is pretty quick, but I'm a really big fan of kind of some of the things uh, that was highlighted here. So basically, the point of this article, it's really quick, but it just talks about 4 points as to the economy overall. And one of the biggest point here that I've tried to reiterate, but I'm just happy that someone else thinks like this as well, and I'm going to go to the fourth point here, which is regardless of who deserves credit, presidents get credit for a strong economy. It can't be expected not to try to get some as much as they can. Well, basically, I guess it wasn't the fourth point, but basically the article basically says that presidents are given too much credit and too much blame for an economy. While people aren't a fan of Trump, and while people are saying, he inherited a great economy from the Obama administration, um, let's not discount some of the things that he did, such as deregulation and the tax cuts. Whether you're a fan of the tax cuts or not, again, that's up to you. But it has generated or helped to um, continue our growth when it comes to GDP. So, now again, the big question here is how long is that long-standing growth? So far, it hasn't slowed down. So we can't every estimate or every time people say, hey, this is the quarter or this is the year it's going to slow down, it doesn't. It continues to go. Some people are saying that this is just as it continues to grow up, that it's just going to be a much uh, bigger fall. But as of right now, we just haven't seen any indicator that suggests that. So I do think that when it comes to the economy, strictly the economy, okay, that there are some positives for both under the Obama and the Trump administration when it comes to the U.S. economy. Okay. Next up, red hot U.S. economy ignores global cooling for now. So this just kind of goes in tune into what I was talking about before, which is, and you've heard me talk about this in particular in Europe with Brexit going on. You've got Germany that's decreasing in terms of their growth. A couple of other Western European countries that are hitting that wall as well. However, the U.S. just continues to churn on. Now, although we were hitting over 3% growth the second and third quarter, I think second quarter we had 4.1% growth, but there are estimates coming out that we're going to hit about 2.6% for the end of the fourth quarter, which is still pretty good. Again, if you don't recall, one of the arguments that was made during the 2016 election was getting America's economy to hit that 3 to 4% growth year to year. It does look as if Trump is going to hit that for last year. Um, we'll see if he can continue that. The government shutdown probably won't help, but we will see if he can continue that. But again, like regardless, even if we're in the mid 2% growth, that's still much larger than other countries, in particular in Western Europe, who are hitting less than 1% GDP growth. So our economy continues to churn, and it continues to grow with no real look at dropping. Now, is this a long term, you know, negative? Who knows? But right now, I mean, it's continuing to grow. Next up, I want to talk about small business optimism. So I talk about how great the economy is doing, only to switch into small business optimism declines amid decreased revenues. Now, um, this is the most recent survey that came up. As you can see, the survey was conducted between January 9th and January 15th. I do think that it's important to look at both sides. While we have had a strong economy, I am a huge person who focuses on small businesses. And in the past, small business optimism has been really good. Now we're starting to see a crack here, which is the first crack that we've seen in a long time. Um, one of the things that I want to point out is they talk about um, optimism when it comes to revenue growth, and where is it? Uh, Decreasing, as you can see, based on the survey conducted, coincides with decreasing company revenues, with 45% of owners saying revenues increased, down 10 percentage points. So basically, what that means is last time they did the survey, 55% said that their revenue increased. Now 45% are saying that their revenue are increased. So 45, I mean, that's still pretty high. However, it's not over the 50%. So it's not a majority of small business owners saying that that the revenue has increased. Now, I do want to point out that this was conducted during the government shutdown, right? So if we assume that the government doesn't get shut down further moving forward, we can probably see these small businesses, the small business optimism, probably go up a little bit. So it makes sense that it dropped so heavily because again that was during the government shutdown. Um, Now, if this continues, then I think that we have a something here that we need to take a serious look at. But regardless, I still stand by what I've said in the previous past, which is if you're doing business on a global scale, so if you're getting any items from like Europe or China, be wary of that as you kind of move through, especially with the trade deals and the tariffs going on. But regardless, it if you're doing business kind of internally, and when I say internally, I mean domestically in the U.S., it does appear as if the economy is still trekking along pretty well. Small business use of independent contractors outpaces full-time hires. So this is just kind of a look at if you're looking for to hire people but you're struggling to do so, take a look at independent contractors. As so there's a ton of different reasons that they give in terms of why this would be an advantage. As you can see, flexibility, reduced labor costs, which is very true. I've hired people from Upwork and Fiverr who have done, in my opinion, pretty good jobs, especially Fiverr. I found one guy on Fiverr who does an excellent job every time I hire him. Um, just really excellent. And it's usually I usually just have to do projects here and there, maybe one or two a quarter. So I'll just hire it out to him. So these things do work, and especially when you don't need somebody who's full time specifically, and you just need them to do kind of on a project by project basis. Now, there are benefits to full time employees. Don't get me wrong. If you need that continual upkeep of a certain responsibility in your company, definitely look for full time. But again, this is more for people who do have kind of projects that they need to be completed within their company. I would say look for an independent contractor if that's something that you haven't considered already. Lastly, look at the 10 ways smart cities are restructuring the economy. So, pretty interesting. As you know, I always like to leave off on something that I think is a pretty interesting article. For this one, it's taking a look at smart cities. So it just talks about some of the things that you can kind of look out for the future cities that will uh, impact our day of or our way of life. First thing, automation brings in cost savings, ensuring proper efficiency, and you can see pretty much they have different videos to go with some of the points that they make here, mitigating risk, reducing damages. So just pretty, oh, excuse me, interesting assessment on kind of what smart cities are going to bring and kind of how they're going to affect you on a day-to-day basis. I do also think that when it comes to a smart city, obviously putting this infrastructure in means jobs, which I'm always a supporter of, both for people who, who are looking for employment as well as small businesses. So as we're moving forward, it does seem as if we're talking about these clean energy, smart cities type of things that it appears America is moving forward to. We could see some really good opportunities moving forward for small businesses. So it looks like it's on the up and up over the next decade to own your own business, in particular, try to connect with the government and look for opportunities. So definitely keep that in mind again over the next 5 to 10 years as you run your business. Um, so with that being said, as always, thank you so much for listening to kind of what I had to say today. This one was a longer one, over 15 minutes. Uh, as always, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video. Tell me what you think, and once again, thank you so much for your time. That being said, thank you and have a great week.